radical acceptance, man. It's been
Yeah.
something that I've heard about for quite some time, and I never really realized the impact that it would have on my healing journey. I thought it is one of these kind of woo woo things that I heard people talk about,
Yeah.
and while I don't think that it's the end all be all, and it's definitely not a cure all, I found that radical acceptance on my journey really helped me to heal,
Yeah.
not just physically, but to begin getting out and living life again. And it's not that we're telling people that they need to accept their illness as a death sentence and just live with it the rest of their
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. We'll dive into what that is,
Yeah,
acceptance
yeah,
is,
yeah.
in
But
a little bit.
it's just kind of in the intro that radical acceptance has been one of the most powerful tools that I've used in healing,
Yeah.
and it changed my life like drastically. I don't know, Joe, if you kind of had
Yeah,
the same experience.
so this is one of the most overlooked aspects of healing, in the terms or in the world of like mind body healing and all this stuff. We all look for those tools, that are going to help us heal, meditation, visualization, somatic stuff or whatever. But some of the most effective healing stuff is the things that people overlook, and that is like acceptance. So, I'll briefly talk about it from the lens of like my healing journey. Some people may know that I dealt with chronic Lyme disease and got sick back in 2005, and then ultimately healed myself and got into remission or whatever. One of the things that I learned back then had nothing to do with neuroplasticity, nervous system regulation, or anything like that. I read psychology books on acceptance and commitment therapy. And I think in this video, we're going to dive into, first of all, what acceptance truly means, because I think I alluded to that at the beginning, is like something that a lot of people don't even realize, about acceptance. They think, oh, if I practice acceptance, I'm gonna, be destined to be sick for the rest of my life, and I'm never gonna accept that. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna fight against it. All that sort of stuff, and that's not what acceptance is. Acceptance is not, I accept myself as I'm gonna be ill and woe is me. It's complete opposite that. It's actually an action of power. It's giving yourself more power to move through life and your illness more gracefully without needing to control every little detail and focus on all that sort of stuff. And it's a big part of healing. It's something that we teach a lot. It's something that is not an easy thing either, too. So we'll dive into that in this video, like some steps we can take, what acceptance really is. But yeah, Josh. So what do you feel acceptance is for you on this journey, and like how
So
has it helped you through
yeah,
some of, yeah,
when I first approached this, and I was very very ingrained in needing a
yeah,
tangible, logical solution to try and heal, and for me, I needed evidence based medicine,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I was going to see the doctors and getting the IVs and doing all the stuff that never really, it was the IV ozone, the B venom therapy. I mean, there's not a treatment
yeah,
except for the hype, whatever it is, where they heat your body up and cook you at
yeah,
160 degrees,
hypothermia,
106
yeah,
degrees. That's the only thing we didn't do. But outside of that, Joe and I have tried everything. So when I started this journey and really got into nervous system regulation, I didn't realize how big of a piece acceptance was.
yeah,
And what I realized is as I was healing from Lyme, there was a lot of symptoms that there's not a pill to fix. That's
yeah,
not going to make it go away.
yeah,
And generally, as Lyme patients, here's what happens: is we get this symptom, and we feel it. It enters into our head. We have this huge catastrophic thing
yeah,
that's going to happen. Like, this probably means it's the end of me. I need to go to the hospital. And by all means, obviously, check with your doctors. We're not giving medical advice here, but we make this huge catastrophic blowout situation in the back of our heads on what this symptom is going to do, and it never does. So we have the symptom, and it's strong, and then we have this catastrophic reaction, and we respond to it in fear, and then we're stressed because we're not sure when it's going to end, and we can't control it, and we're trying to control it.
mhm,
And next thing you know, we're dumping cortisol and adrenaline into our bloodstreams. The symptoms becoming worse and more, pronounced. Now we're introducing more inflammation into our bodies.
yeah,
When in all reality, we get that symptom when we learn to accept it what it is, see it for what it is. Yes, it sucks, but you can't do anything to change it. I'm going to put it in a little bag. I'm going to throw it over my shoulder, and I'm going to ride with it for a little bit and realize that the level of how it impacts, and you guys aren't going to like this, a lot of you, but it's the truth coming from guys that are getting to the other side and from people that have reached the other side.
Yeah.
When you begin to accept it, you throw it in your sack, you take it over your shoulder, and you continue to move through life instead of choosing to radically rest and lay on the couch all
Yeah.
day to scroll on your phone. That's where change and shift happens. Is
Hmm.
I began to have these symptoms that were very, very, very uncomfortable, and dizziness, lightheadedness, POTS. We don't talk about symptoms in class, but YouTube channel we definitely do.
Yeah.
I mean, air hunger,
Yeah.
dizzy, lightheaded all the time, food tolerant. I mean, you name it. There's not a
Physical
symptom that we
sensation
go
was
through
a
with
yeah.
chronic illness
Yep.
that Joe and I didn't experience in
Yeah.
a cumulative 40 years of suffering. And what I realized is, okay, I can accept this. This doesn't mean that I like it.
Yeah.
I'm accepting it temporarily, that while I'm regulating my nervous system and healing from chronic Lyme, that it's going to be with me for a little bit.
Yep.
And there's no amount of fighting, there's no amount of Google searching, there's no amount of
Yeah.
doctor hopping that's going to make the symptom better. I have to accept it. I have to calm my nervous system down. I have to realize that it's not going to kill me in the moment as long as you've been checked out by a doctor, and that it's my little homie for a while. Let's go for a ride. You're coming
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
me. We can't change that. So once I started doing that, I realized that I was capable of doing way more than I thought I was,
Mhm.
because when we get these symptoms, we now put limitations on our life because we have these fears of what they can cause. And next thing you know, we're in a cycle, and we're not accepting, we're trying to fix, we're trying to find solutions. And
Yep.
not that we should not, stop trying to find solutions to heal. But I'm telling you guys, for chronic illness, there's nobody out there that's healing you guys in masses. Please drop a doctor's name down below that's getting at least 40% of the patients
Exactly.
better. Like, let everybody know the secret, because it doesn't exist. We've searched.
Yeah.
So when I really sat there, I remember sitting on a couch and I wrote down my symptoms, and I said, can I change any of these? And I went by each one, like my brain fog. Sure, I can take some berberine and panella and it might lessen it a little bit, but can I control it? No.
Yeah.
Can I control the DPDR? Nope. I can calm my nervous system and make it less, but it's not going to go away. Once
Yep.
I stopped trying to fix the symptoms and surrendered to them and calm my nervous system, guess what? That's when the symptoms
That's
started to
that's
begin.
the
And we're going to
paradox of it all.
they
Yeah.
really started to slowly dissipate. But the biggest part of acceptance, and this was the biggest life changing moment for me, is as I began to accept one, chronic Lyme, and my chronic Lyme might be better now. I don't know, and it's not for me to try and
Yep.
figure out right now, because I am tapering from benzodiazepines, and that's a hellish journey in and of itself.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is, until I get off this, it's going to be a journey,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to race to the final destination of being healed, but I've decided through acceptance that I am now going to enjoy the journey at where I'm at. And to tie
Mhm.
on to that, it's not just about the illness. A lot of you guys out there might be broke, might be in bad relationships, might have a lot of stuff that's going on in your life that is completely out of your control. And there's a big part of that. There's a huge caveat. You need to have the intelligence and strength to know which of these you're able to change. Don't
Yeah.
feel like you're stuck in a situation if you can start stashing money aside by doing something and figuring out a long term solution
Yep.
to a short term problem. But if it is absolutely something that you can't change in the immediate, you have to accept it, because
Mm.
if you don't accept it, you're fearing it. It's creating stress, and there we go.
Yep.
We're fueling the
Exactly.
chronic illness. We're out of that state of rest and digest, and now we're in dysregulation. And when you begin to radically accept these things, now you can think with a clear mind, formulate a plan to be able to get out of these situations, to be able to do things, and to be able to create a life out of that. And that's exactly what it's done for me. Is as I was able to start accepting some of these
Mhm.
symptoms weren't a death sentence for me. 17 years of being chronically sick and on the couch. Once I realized, all right, hey, I've had this symptom for 17 years, and I've worried every single time that I need to go to the ER, I need to call 911, or that it's going to impact my life. And I get it. Some of them are very serious, but they become so much more serious when we give way to fear and we sit on the couch or the bed all day. So once I let go and I decided I'm going to create a life outside of my chronic illness, and these symptoms are coming with me, and I accepted that they're going to be uncomfortable, that I'm not going to have an answer, and that I can't fix them. And when I experience them severely, I surrender. I
Yeah.
accept them and I surrender, and they become less. Not immediately, but with time they come less, guys. And it's So powerful, Joe. I'm serious. I'm curious if that's kind of been your
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. It's so this is this is I've had the same exact experience. I think this is what a lot of people don't realize. I kind of want to dive into. I'll talk about my experience a little bit, but I want to dive into first like what acceptance truly means. You talked about it already, but I kind of want to break it down for most people because we all struggle. Like when I would have heard acceptance in the past, I would have been like, dude, I'm never accepting this illness. I'm never accepting my symptoms. Like, how is this going to help me? No, that's a very disempowered state. In fact, acceptance is the opposite. It's actually the most empowered state you can be in, because instead of trying to fight and control and all of that sort of stuff, acceptance now allows you to be in control by releasing control. This might not make sense, but bear with me here. So acceptance is not a lack of action or doing things. It is simply being like, I accept where I'm at currently. I cannot control it. I cannot change it. As much as I want it to change, there is nothing I can do in my power. And I experienced this a lot when I was dealing with very uncomfortable symptoms and all that sort of stuff. I felt like, you know, if I could only figure this out, if I could only figure this out, if I could only just figure out what supplement I need to take, what treatment I need to take, then I would finally heal. All that did was make me sicker. When I was like, all right, these symptoms are here. They've been here for however many months or years. They've never killed me. They've only been
Right.
uncomfortable as hell. But there's always been a shift. Sometimes they're worse, sometimes they're better, you know? And I had this moment when I tried all the different treatments like and I'd seen all the doctors and spent all the money and went bankrupt trying to heal from chronic Lyme disease. There was finally a period of acceptance that I got to. I was already doing some of the mind body work. I was, meditating. I was doing EFT tapping. I was doing my journaling and my gratitude practices, right? But I was still in this state of control where I
Right.
was I was trying to control through even some of these mind body means, which is something that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Um, and I was waiting around to get better till I started taking action. And the piece of acceptance that I had to come to was, my illness is currently here. How can I make peace with it and live my life even while the symptoms are here and are uncomfortable?
Absolutely.
And for those of you guys that are watching this, this may sound kind of dark, and I don't mean it to be dark or whatever, but I want you to ask yourself this question. This is what I did, many, many years ago. What if these symptoms never get better? What if this illness is just here with you for the rest of your life? And it was a dark question I had to ask myself, but you know what?
Yeah.
It was an empowering question as well, because the life that I was living, waiting around to get better to before I took action, was not serving me any longer. So when I asked myself this question and I said, I'm done playing the victim. I'm not letting this illness control me any longer. I'm accepting what I can control. I'm doing the things that I can control, which are, my diet, movement practices, focusing on my mindset and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm letting go. And that's what acceptance is.
Yeah.
Then I'm taking action still. Like then it was like, all right, now that I've accepted that I cannot control this illness as much as I can't beat it into submission, it's like it's not going away right now. What can I do that's going to bring me some joy, some peace in the moment, even if I'm struggling, even if I'm going through the challenges each and every day, even if these symptoms are here. And for those of you guys, like we've dealt with all the neurological symptoms. If you guys know anything, like I've dealt with chronic depersonalization, derealization, vertigo, dizziness, lightheadedness, all of that, like all of these symptoms, all the muscle twitches, fatigue, and
Hard
all of that.
stuff.
Like I've dealt with it all. So like, it's not like, oh, I'm just accepting, like some minor symptoms. Like no, I had to really kind of allow myself to go through feeling like crap a little more gracefully and then take action, on things that I wanted to do. And this is, I mentioned it when Josh was talking. This is the paradox of it all. This is the thing that people don't realize. They think like, I can't do that. I can't let go of control. I can't stop trying to find an answer or find a cure or find a a supplement that's going to help my symptoms. It's I'm never going to do that. The paradox of healing is when you surrender control and you take action anyway, and you start to live from that state of surrender and acceptance. Josh talked about it. The cortisol, the adrenaline stops pumping, and now the body is able to actually kind of heal. Like it's like now you're not in that state of like fight or flight. You're kind of like, all right, whatever, I'm chilling. uh, Whatever these symptoms are, they're here until they're not. I'm just going to do my best while they're here. And the paradox of it all is when you do that and you do the right things for your body, the symptoms get better. Like that's the truth of it all. So like for those of you guys that are listening to this or watching this, understand that that's the paradox. But you cannot force that either. Like you can't be like, I accept this, like telling yourself, I accept this and I surrender and I surrender. Meanwhile, your energy is still holding on. You're still Googling symptoms or you're still focusing on your symptoms and wrestling with them. You can't, because that's the thing is you can tell yourself, I accept and surrender, but there's a whole, different energy when you actually embrace it. And you're like, all right, I'm just going to do my best while these symptoms are here. I let go. I let go of control. They're here. However long this takes me to heal, I'm in it. I surrender to the timeline. I surrender control, and that's the things. That's the paradox of it all. When you do that, it
Yeah.
actually improves even more. So,
Yeah. You said my favorite quote without actually saying it, dude. When you started
yeah,
off at the beginning, get busy living or get busy dying. And
exactly.
that's essentially the mindset when you have a chronic illness. Like I accepted it, but I accepted it in a different way.
Yeah,
And I didn't like how I accepted it.
yeah,
And for me, faith played a large role in this as well. But I had accepted that I was going to be chronically sick for the rest of my life. And that was the mindset that I had, that I wasn't going to get better and that this was the best that I was going to get and that I was going to make the best out of it. And the making the best out of it meant that I was going to adhere to my symptoms. I was going to allow my symptoms to be what dictated my
yeah,
life, and I was going to try and build a life around that. And that's what I want to. I really want to press on. You can't build a life around your symptoms
no,
if you really and they're uncomfortable, guys. And I'm telling you now, like look into nervous system regulation. Look what happens when your nervous system is dysregulated, and look at the symptoms. Go to Chat GPT right now and ask what are the symptoms of extreme nervous system dysregulation. You're going to see the hormonal imbalances. You're going to see the anxiety, the extreme anxiety, the extreme depression. You can develop cardiac symptoms from it.
heart,
Low blood pressure, high blood pressure, heart palpitations. Heart rhythm disturbances. Brain fog, derealization, depersonalization. It goes on and on and on and on. And when you can't regulate your nervous system until you accept what you're going through.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're trying to take the wheel and you're trying to control your life. And here's a news flash, guys. There's certain aspects of your life that you absolutely can control, but there's a whole lot that you can't.
yeah,
And
exactly.
the more that you begin to accept that there's some things that are out of your control and you need to let go and you need to
Yeah,
surrender, the easier life is going to get, even if
mhm,
you're not chronically sick. But I had accepted that I would be symptomatic, that I would be dizzy everywhere that I went. And once I let go of that and really started nervous system regulation and really started to have the belief that things will get better and that if I accept things temporarily, and this was the shift,
yeah,
is
yeah,
I went from, all right, I'm going to be the best dad that I can from the couch. Maybe this disease takes me out in 10 years. Maybe it takes me out in 5. I had accepted that it cut my lifespan short and all these negative thoughts. My acceptance was a little bit different than what we're
yeah,
talking about. And I was just done with doctors, because we'd seen them all. And I was just like, I'm going to do what I can. And if I can maybe try to take one small family vacation where I accommodate all my symptoms and,
yep,
do all this thing and essentially the illness is still running my life, I'd
mhm,
accepted defeat. And that's the difference. I'd accepted defeat. But it was that very quote that I said a couple minutes ago.
yeah,
And I want to get it tattooed on my forehead sometime. Not really. Get busy living or get busy dying. And I realized that by doing that, even though I was sick and I was really sick, that by sitting around waiting to feel better or to die, I was accepting my demise.
Yeah.
I wasn't accepting the way that we're accepting. So once I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get busy living, and if something happens to me while I'm living, so be it, because I'm gonna have joy in life. And
Yeah.
this is where I really started to kind of dive deep into my faith.
Hmm.
But I accepted that that was not my demise, that
Yeah.
I accepted that my body was capable of healing, and I began to believe that. But the hard part of it is what do I do with all these symptoms? And I think that that's probably the hang up where a lot of you guys is, how can I accept something that makes me feel so comfortable? Well, guys, there's no magic trick. It's not an easy thing. You have two options, and there's only two options. You can sit and be fearful of the symptom the rest of your life. Most of you guys have been experiencing it for a long time. You can sit and draw out this catastrophic situation of how it's going to impact your life and how it's probably going to kill you and how you're going to be caught up in the hospital. And I'll give you a quick example so you guys can insert. Most people with chronic illness, you get COVID or you get a cold, what is our first instinct? Man, this
Yeah.
is going to land me in the hospital. This is going to kill me. This is not going to be good. And it's rooted in trauma. For a lot of us, I don't know if you had this happen, Joe, but I know for me,
Yeah.
I caught the flu one year. I caught both flu A and B. I had a fever of 103.8, and I was delirious in the hospital, drooling on myself. They thought that I went septic. And after that, like, I had this traumatic experience because my immune system was dropped because of Lyme. And I'd accepted and adopted the belief, all
Yeah.
right, that anytime that I get any kind of illness, that is going to be the standard for how I get sick.
Yeah.
That was the acceptance. So we're talking about accepting a good case scenario, a best case scenario, not the worst case scenario. And once I started to believe in that, get busy living. What did that look like? All right, I'm getting in the car. I'm driving again. All right, cool. I have all these symptoms. I've been cleared by my doctor. I'm going out to live. And this is what I said. By all means, we're just covering our butts by saying this. Consult with your doctor. See if it's all right to take a walk. See if it's all right to get in your car and drive. See if it's all right to pack up a tent and go camping for the weekend. Or see if it's all right to go to a concert. He's going to say, absolutely,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
live your life. He's not going to say, no, go lay in bed for the rest of the day and accept your demise and your defeat and just sit and wait there to die.
Yeah.
No. Literally, and that's what we did, is we started to accept, all right, life can still be beautiful. So
Yeah.
I started going to concerts. I started going to festivals. I started going on vacations with the family. And does that mean that I felt great the whole time doing it? No, I was symptomatic. But the more that I began to accept these symptoms, the more that I began to regulate my nervous system, the more that I began to enjoy. And we hear a lot of students in our class say this. I went out, I finally accepted my symptoms. I put them in a sack. We say this all the time. And I carried them with me, kind of like how you see the old hobos back in the day. Long stick, you put all your clothes and
Yeah.
like a bandana, you tie them and you carry them. That's what you're doing with your symptoms, because you can't go anywhere without them. They don't magically disappear. And you go to the concert and you enjoy yourself, or you go to the amusement park and maybe you don't ride the roller coasters or whatever, but maybe you walk. Maybe you go to Disney World. Maybe you go to the mountains in Montana. I hope there's mountains. Yeah, there's mountains in Montana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you get on the horseback and you go riding. You begin to live life. Maybe you pick up a guitar and play, or maybe you start fulfilling some dreams that you've had in life.
Yeah.
Guys, that's what true
That,
acceptance looks like,
that's it. Yeah.
is I've accepted that I am chronically sick. I'm believing that I can get better, because you absolutely can once your
Yeah.
nervous system starts calming down and you're choosing to live life again. If you're trying to get better sitting at home, eating a ton of antibiotics, stinging yourself with bees, you have a pick line in, you're doing hyperbaric oxygen, whatever the treatment is you're doing, but you're not accepting your current state and you're trying to fix everything so quick, you're never going to get better. You've got to get out there and show your body that it's safe to begin living life again. That while it feels like we are crippled, and in some ways we might temporarily be, that's
Yeah.
not forever. That healing happens, that your body wants to heal, but we've got to get out of that state of constantly trying to fight the illness. When you're fighting the illness, you're
Yeah.
fighting yourself, and you're
You're
fighting a
never gonna win.
battle you will lose 10 times out of 10. It is when we begin to radically accept and believe that change is possible,
Yeah.
that things really begin to shift. And it's crazy the amount of medicine and healing that happens inside of our bodies, that we're so intelligently designed, like
Yeah.
all those hormone balances and or imbalances and stuff like that. It's amazing once we put our body in the state that it was designed to stay in, that it balances itself out, that it
Yeah.
knows how to fight off infection, that it knows how to heal. I know, oh, but the biofilms, no, like, I fully
that's
believe
that's
that
not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why some people get Lyme disease, dude, and it never goes chronic because they're not in a state of dysregulation. They don't eat like crap. They take care of their body. They take care of their mind. Their body fights it off and they get better. And then
Yeah.
you have the people that are chronically, normally we have some trauma that we're dealing with and all this other stuff that we haven't accepted and processed. And now next thing you know, we're chronically sick and we're trying to punch our way out of a wet paper bag with scissors in our hands. It's the RZA. Huh. But yeah,
Yeah.
man.
If anyone hears that and knows that reference, you guys are real ones.
Yeah,
It's Wu Tang Clan. Yeah, but no, no, no. I agree with you. So I think you had talked about, acceptance and belief kind of go hand in hand. So you have to cultivate belief as well as accept, because if you're just like accepting, this is my life, you can do that, you can live and all that sort of stuff, but having that innate belief that your body is capable of healing also helps with acceptance. This is where, hearing stories from people who are healed through mind body work, reading books like You Are the Placebo, reading, Joe Dispenza books and things like that. There's tons of them. There's so many books out there right now about, mind body practitioners or therapists or whatever that help cultivate that belief, and reading like anecdotes and stories of people who have healed from chronic illness, and then you can kind of adopt that belief, you can kind of borrow that belief, and then that allows you to have a little to calm down a little bit and allow, like, hey, I'm no different, like other
right.
people have healed with the same condition as me, like let me accept where I'm at right now, let me move through this more gracefully, and let me take action. And this is what the fundamentals of basically of acceptance and commitment therapy are. I'm not a therapist. I've read tons of books, and when I was healing in the past and trying to heal from, chronic depersonalization, derealization, anxiety, depression, chronic Lyme disease, all of the, and all the symptoms that come with it, I read a lot of books on, psychology, acceptance and commitment therapy, and all of this. And one of the things that we're, what I'm talking about was acceptance and commitment therapy, and that was the thing that I sort of latched onto and learned most from out of all of the other things, where I was now able to accept where I'm at. And so, what acceptance and commitment therapy basically is: radical acceptance of that you cannot change things currently how they are. No matter how hard you try, you can't, take a magic pill, you can't wish your way to health, you can't focus on it, all that. So you radically accept, and then you align your values, whatever they are, and you commit to take action on goals and a life that you want to live regardless of your situation. And this is the part of, commitment that is really hard. It's one thing to just sit there and accept your situation. Okay, a lot of us can get there, but the commitment piece, i.e. the get busy living or get busy dying, like Josh was talking about, that's a commitment piece. That's like, all right, I cannot control my symptoms right now. This symptom, it's uncomfortable or whatever, and it's here with me. Now, what values do I have that I want to live? Do I want to explore the world again? Do I want to travel again? Do I want to get back on that bike? Do I want to get back into seeing friends? Do I want to do all these things? That's the commitment piece. It's like now
Yeah.
you start taking action on your goals and values, and this is not just a thing that you do and nothing happens. There's mounds of peer reviewed journals, scientific evidence from psychologists to therapists to even scientists that talk about this, that this is how the body heals from things like anxiety, depression, depersonalization, and even chronic health issues, is through acceptance and commitment therapy. And we're going to have a great, awesome psychologist that's going to
Yeah.
be joining us here on some of our videos, that's going to be co-signing on all of this here in the near future, that's going to talk about it from a lens of, you know the therapist, dialect, and all of the terms and terminology that Josh and I are not qualified to talk about. He's going to talk about from his lens of him dealing with a chronic illness, but also, how to use all of these tools and how to use acceptance and commitment, as well as some other things that are related to acceptance that can help the body heal. So, that's going to be a great thing. So I know that we just kind of announced that, but it's going to be a
Yeah.
cool thing coming up.
Yeah, we're super excited about that too,
Yeah,
guys. And just
yeah,
kind of in closing, we
yeah,
want to let you guys know because we're going to get people on this video that say, well, you don't know about my case and how extreme it was. And I feel like we always need to,
yeah, yeah,
dude, I lived in a tent. Joe
yeah,
was really sick. He lived with his mama. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I couldn't
our
get out of
stories.
bed. Like, I was
Yeah,
prepared
yeah.
to die at times.
Yeah, yeah. There was so many nights that I went to bed that, and Joe and I, dude, it's funny because Facebook memories come up.
Yeah,
Like even 15 years ago, we're like, I'd go to bed and I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the morning. Like I felt
yeah,
like that. My blood pressure would be super low and all that. And those are tough things to accept. But here's the thing is you can get better. Like, and it's not just this, there's other components that come into healing. Like you got to get up and move your body. There has to be a healthy diet and you've got to
yeah,
be doing the work in nervous system regulation. But acceptance is I believe it's the first big step in your
yeah. It
healing
really
journey.
is.
And when you come in, well, how do I accept I'm living in mold right now? And we get that one a lot. Dude, I was living in a tent. Like, all right,
Yeah,
until you've experienced Southwest Florida heat, like you don't know heat. I mean, if you live in the United States, I don't care where you live. I don't care. Texas, California, whatever, the Nevada desert, come to Southwest Florida, like right by the swamp butt Everglades, where we get the humidity that's so bad that you go outside and your shirt is drenched in the middle of July. I
yeah,
was living in a tent for 2 months in the middle of the summer because there was legitimate mold in my house. But that was a step that I had to take. And I took my Xbox out with me and I took my TV out with me and I had an air mattress out there. And it was hard. It was very hard. But sometimes we have to do drastic measures when we're in situations that we get. And we get a lot of people say, well, I'm in mold. I can't heal right now. I can't do the work. All right, cool. So die in the mold. Literally, if that's what you want to do, die in the mold. Or you can begin to formulate a plan to get out. And I know that a lot of you, well, I'm stuck here. We don't have the, I get it. Believe me, I was stuck too. That's why I was living in a tent, like a homeless dude. Like,
yeah,
if I told you guys the crazy story of how I got rid of my car and how I stripped down in Target and put new clothes on, it's ridiculous. Um, I need to write a book too, Joe. It's crazy. But
yeah,
what we want you guys to know is we get a lot of people that say, how can I heal? I'm in mold, or how can I heal? I'm so sick. It's a brick by brick approach,
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Start small, but it starts with acceptance. Even for the stuff that you can't change, that's the stuff you definitely need to accept.
yeah,
And for the stuff that can change, you need to be able to have the wisdom to differentiate between the two. So if it means I'm not advocate. I 100% believe in mold illness. I do. I also believe that you can heal while you're in mold. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to like that. But I think that kind
yeah,
of accepting that and calming
yeah,
your nervous system down,
yeah,
obviously with the goal of getting out of it. But I want everybody to know, regardless of what your chronic illness is, that your healing journey begins and ends with radical acceptance.
yeah.
And
It
we're
really
going to dive
does.
more into this stuff. And this is what's great is our feelings don't dictate this. Science does. And
Yeah,
that's the great
exactly.
part of it, guys. And in the coming weeks, John, the psychologist that's going to be, working with us, he's amazing. He's been a psychologist for 30 years, very, very well respected in his realm. He's in our class, and we're super thankful to have him with us to kind of help give us some of the technical terms behind stuff and how
Yeah,
the brain actually works when you're sick with a chronic illness, guys. So we'd encourage you guys to tune in. Please, for the sake of us doing this channel, like, comment, subscribe, all that cringy jazz that people say. It really does help us. It encourages us to keep making videos because
yeah,
it does take time. But most of all, here's the last part of it. If you're out there and you're struggling and you feel like you're alone, healing is not meant to do by yourself.
yeah,
We find that people heal exponentially quicker when it's done in a community environment. We do offer a healing boot camp where we talk about a lot of this stuff, the neuroplasticity, the nervous system regulation, diet, movement. Joe has his master's in nutrition. And, I went through this for 17 years. Joe went through it for 20 years. Our chronic illness stories are well documented through the internet as we've been sick and as we went through there. And we have the goal of wanting to help people heal in the
yeah,
most cost effective way possible. We have a boot camp. It's $88 a month. You come in. It's 2 live Zooms a week. Joe and I lead those. We have a live living breathing community. We cap the class at 30 people, so we have, I think, 2 spots that are left right now. And
Yep.
you come in, you're assigned an accountability partner. We have a group chat that's constantly going, and it's a living breathing community that's cultivated behind the idea of healing together. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, if you're feeling lost on this journey and you want more information, we do offer a free 15-minute consult. Our website is thehealingdudes.com. It will be in the description of the video.
Yep.
We'd encourage you guys to check it out. And if you're ready to take that leap to heal, we do have 2 spots left. We would love for you to join our class.
Yep. Happy
Cool.
healing, guys.
Yeah. Have a great day, guys.